Welcome guys, Sizwe Academy, and this is the global classroom. We're now dealing with, it's still trigonometry. We are now adding or subtracting 180 degrees. We've dealt with adding or subtracting 360 degrees. Check that video, Sizwe Academy, it is there. So here we're dealing with 180 degrees. So what we actually do, or we're actually saying here, we've got an angle in the first quadrant, right? So from that angle, we are adding or subtracting 180 degrees, right? So this is what we are doing. It's this angle. If I were to add 180 degrees from this angle, because if I was adding 180 degrees here, it would move from here, right, and it would stop here. This is where 180 degree is. This is 0 degrees, this is 90 degrees, 270 degrees, and 180 degrees. Right, this would be 180 degrees. So from here, I have moved to here. So if I'm adding 180, it would come here. So if this was 30 degrees and I'm adding 180, it would give me what? 210. Let's put it here. And if this was 45 degrees and I'm adding 180 degrees, it would give me what? 225, right? So when I'm adding 180 degrees, I'm moving from this and I'm going from the first quadrant right up to the third quadrant, because when I did 360, I moved from this angle right round to cover the complete revolution, which is 360 degrees. Now I'm not covering 360, I'm covering 180. So when I'm adding, I'm moving from here to here, 180 degrees, right? Same thing when I'm subtracting 180 from the angle, subtracting 180 degrees. I don't know why I keep saying 360, why I love 360. I'm moving from this angle only 180 degrees clockwise. When I'm adding, I'm going anti-clockwise. Maybe let me put it there. When I'm adding, I'm going anti-clockwise against the clock. When I'm subtracting, I'm going clockwise. Clockwise. I'm going clockwise. I'm subtracting. Going this way, I'm subtracting. Going that way, I'm adding. Right, I want you to notice something now. We are in the third quadrant, right? We moved, when we're adding or subtracting 180, we are where we are in the third quadrant, and in the third quadrant, y is what? Is negative. So our y here, our y here is a negative. So why is negative? Because y is negative this side. I want to take my y so that we are in full cognizance of that. Let me put my y here. I'm taking it here. Y is equal to the negative. Y is negative. And we know that y is equal to the sine of theta. So here sine theta at 0 plus 180 degrees, sine theta becomes a negative sine theta because my y is negative. So here it becomes a negative sign. When we are subtracting this side, we're coming back to the third quadrant again. And in the third quadrant, y is negative. So comes again and it says negative sign. because we move from the positive sign, where sign is positive, to the third quadrant, and in the third quadrant sign is negative and sign is negative. Move like this and then it becomes like this. I find this to be the easiest way of finding which is which in which quadrant. But with the number of things we've done, it should be clear now that if sign is in the third quadrant, we know it's negative. But this is I find it to be a better illustrative method to show you why we say sign in the third quadrant is negative. So when you move here, it's 180, sign is negative. Let's come to cos. Cos theta, and let's also be in cognizance that 180 is pi. I'll put pi here in between, either for positive or negative. Pi, 180 is pi, even here. So let's come to cos now. Same thing, we move from this part to this part. We had cos theta plus 120 degrees. So we're moving from plus 180 degrees, sorry, not 120. We're moving from this quadrant straight up to this quadrant, and here in this quadrant, cos, which is here the x value, that was y, the x value which is here, x is equal to the negative. X is negative in this is the part that makes x negative. This was the part that made y negative. So x is moving from the positive, it comes to this quadrant, and x in this quadrant is what is negative. Consider this shape like this. This very shape like this, it looks like this, doesn't it? It looks like this. It just cuts out everything. It looks like this. So your y here, y is negative. Your y. Remember, we used y as green, so y is negative, this part. And your x, this part, is also negative. Considering that your Cartesian plane cuts here. Your Cartesian plane cuts there. So this is the negative part of x, and this is the negative part of y. Here it is, x is negative, y is also negative. So it comes from here right round, it becomes what? Cos 0 degrees plus 180 degrees. So it's adding part, the adding part, it gives us what? A negative cos. A negative cos here. We were adding, it took us to a negative cos. X value, which is negative, a cos. Remember, x is cos, y is sine. So it took us to a negative cos. And cos theta minus 180, we're coming from this side, we're minusing 180. It takes us back to the third quadrant where cos, because we're dealing with cos now, where cos is what? Is also negative. It moves from this side, we moved from this side, we came, cos in this side, in this third quadrant, is what? Is negative. Now we come to the nice one, which is tangent of theta plus 180 degrees is equal to sine theta plus 180 degrees, where we find ourselves with sine being sine. We've dealt with sine theta 180, it became negative sine, and cos became cos at 0 degrees plus 180 degrees. This one we found cos to be negative cos. And this is going to prove something. Hope you've already picked it up. I'm hopeful you've already picked it up. Sine divided by cos is what? Is a tangent. And negative divided by negative is a what? Is a positive tangent. Oh, maybe I used too much space there. Positive 10. Let me put it tangent. A positive tangent. And where is tangent positive? In the third quadrant. So tangent is positive here. In this very quadrant, tangent is positive, and that has proved our tangent to be positive in the third quadrant. Right. We come to tangent of theta minus 180 degrees, where we've worked out sine theta minus 180 degrees to be a what? A negative sign. Negative sign. Maybe let me... I thought it was going to respect my fingers ish. It just didn't acknowledge my fingers. Sine theta, sine into theta minus 180 degrees is here. We've already worked it out. Sine theta minus 100, it became negative sine the angle. Let's call it theta. All over, we worked out what is a cos of theta minus 180 degrees. Cos into theta minus 180 degrees, it worked out to be negative cos theta. Negative cos of theta, which gives us negative, and negative is positive. Sine over cos is a tangent of theta. Positive tangent of theta, and it proves because at 180 degrees tangent is positive. Tangent is positive in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, tangent is positive. It's the only boss for this one. Tangent is the only boss. So that is what I wanted to show you. Excuse me. We're adding or subtracting 180 degrees. We put it there. We put it there, we add 180 degrees, it takes us to this. We subtract 180 degrees, it takes us to this. In fact, in all, because if you add 90 plus 90, it gives you 180 degrees. If you add 60 plus 60, sorry, 60 plus 180, not 60 plus 60. If this angle was here at 60, so 60 plus 180 would have given us what? 240. It's still in the third quadrant. 45 plus 180, 225, it's the third quadrant. 30 plus 180, 210, it's also in the third quadrant, and it's all in here. So hope it gave you something that makes sense to you guys. This is it when you are adding or subtracting 180 degrees. Thank you for having me.